He clenched his fist. Yang Chen felt the immense power of his left hand. He could easily shatter rocks with a single punch. The sound of his fist breaking the sound barrier was music to his ears. Upon careful inspection, Yang Chen discovered an energy flowing through his left hand bones. This energy continuously circulated between the 27 bones, like it was uniting them as one. After spending some time familiarizing himself with his new left hand, Yang Chen began to refine his right hand. The refinement was even faster than Yang Chen expected. In just half a day, all 27 bones of his right hand had been refined. Yang Chen was elated. The refinement efficiency was nearly tenfold compared to level 3. It was unbelievable. Next was the torso. The torso bones were unlike the hand bones in terms of size and complexity. The refinement would definitely be much more difficult. Each of the 3 bones in the torso must be refined perfectly. Otherwise, the process would fail. 10 days flew by. Yang Chen stood in the teleportation hall, his expression complex. He was both excited and exhausted. It felt like he had undergone a complete transformation in just 10 days. Left hand bones, right hand bones, left arm bones, right arm bones, left shoulder bones, right shoulder bones, left foot bones, right foot bones, left leg bones. And most of his right leg bones had reached the level of divine bones. Only a little bit was left. Just the final bone in his right leg was missing. Yang Chen was happy but also a little regretful. He was so close to completing his 4 limbs. Too bad. My credits are all gone. The refinement hall is a credit-eating monster. Meng Kuang and Jen Wuk were now stunned. They had only managed to refine their hand and foot bones. Meng Kuang shouted, "Let's go trade our credits," and dashed out of the refinement hall like the wind. Bro, Jen Wuk said to Yang Chen. Let's go trade our credits too. The refinement hall was no longer the same place from 10 days ago. It was now filled with martial artists of all types. Everyone knew about the Eastern Continent's expansion of the Academy next year. The news that Divine Bone Refinement granted extra credits had driven students to flock to the Refinement Hall. Besides the Refinement Hall, Yang Chen had to figure out how to earn credits quickly. He could earn credits, but earning a large sum of credits in a short time was nearly impossible. What he needed most was time. Helpless, Yang Chen sent a part of his mind into his inner world and asked, "Old Rome, is there any other way to refine divine bones other than the special locations in the Refinement Hall?" "Of course there is," Old Rome said. "Normally, refining divine bones is a long process that can't be rushed. The common method is to refine earth or fire energy in your body, fuse it with your essence, and then refine your bones. What about heavenly fire?" Yang Chen thought of the heavenly fire in Yinghua Qing Yandan. Heavenly fire would be even better, Old Rome said, knowing Yang Chen's plan. However, trying to refine the heavenly fire in Yinghua Qing Yandan is too dangerous. Not only would 8 not allow it, but consuming too much heavenly fire might cause your dantian to be destroyed. Yang Chen shuddered, thinking about Atesh temper. If I anger 8, my inner world will be ruined. They'll have to find another way to obtain heavenly fire. Without realizing it, Yang Chen and Jen Wuk arrived at the mission hall, looking for a way to quickly earn credits. Sadly, after looking around, Yang Chen was disappointed. There are no high-credit missions left. Previously, there were risky high-reward missions, but now, there was nothing. All that remained were long and slow missions with meager rewards. Disheartened, Yang Chen and Jen Wuk went to the cafeteria, thinking about what they should do. I could ask senior sister, but I don't have that kind of relationship where I can ask her for credits, Yang Chen thought. Suddenly, a strange idea popped into his head. Old Rong, Yang Chen asked. If I separate the aura of a southern origin flame seed and merge it with my holy word mantra, could I use it to refine my bones? Old Rong was shocked. After a moment, he said excitedly, that might actually work. If that's the case, then the divine bones you refine will be incredibly powerful. However, even if it's not a southern origin flame, but just the aura of one, I'm afraid your bones might not be able to withstand it. After a moment, Old Rong cautioned, Master, you can try it, but it's extremely dangerous. Even with just the aura, your bones might be destroyed. It would take a long time to recover. Having no other options, Yang Chen ignored the danger. He said to Jen Wuk, let's go. I have an idea. If it works, divine bones won't be a dream. Really? Jen Wuk asked, incredulous. Full-body divine bones. What's that? Well see, Yang Chen said. After entering the free training room in the spiritual field, Jen Wuk was shocked. How is it possible? How can there be such dense and pure spiritual energy? Soon, Jen Wuk discovered something was wrong. What is that spiritual pool in the center? The spiritual leaves inside are weird, very weird. Bro, something is wrong here. Jen Wuk asked. Yang Chen, however, had no interest in explaining right now. He sat down and composed his mind. The black hole seed was in his inner world, which made things easier. To prevent any accidents, Yang Chen had Old Rong perform the Kuei Xing hand seal to prevent his inner world from collapsing. First, he needed to experiment and see what kind of power the aura of the southern origin flame seed combined with his holy word mantra was. He couldn't refine his bones before he destroyed them with his own energy. Be careful, he thought. Controlled by the black hole seed, a trace of southern origin flame seed aura appeared in Yang Chen's inner world. He frantically used his holy word mantra to wrap it and merge it with it. Because these two powers were both controlled by Yang Chen and were both fire type, the fusion was relatively smooth. However, after feeling it, Yang Chen was unsure. He could clearly feel the terrifying power contained in the southern origin flame aura merged with the holy word mantra. Can this really refine divine bones? However, this power was entirely his own and could be controlled. It was different from the heavy force of the refinement hall which entered his body directly and required so much effort to control. After hesitating, Yang Chen had Old Rong remove the Kuei Xing hand seal. He stabilized the terrifying energy and cautiously moved a small amount of it out of his inner world. He guided the southern origin flame aura infused holy word mantra to his right leg bone to start the refinement. Yang Chen screamed in pain, almost fainting. But at this moment, Yang Chen couldn't care about the pain. He focused on his right leg. His right leg bone was glowing red and releasing wisps of smoke. The refinement was working, but it was extremely slow. This was way too inefficient for Yang Chen, and the unbearable pain was almost too much to endure. After a full hour, the pain subsided as the energy in his right leg bone was nearly depleted. However, only a tenth of the last bone in his right leg had been refined. Keep going. I can't give up. He had to refine the last bone of all four limbs into divine bones. Yang Chen separated another portion of the southern origin flame aura fused with his holy word mantra, sending it to his right leg to continue refining. The intense pain began again. After a grueling hour and a half, Yang Chen had finally finished refining the last bone in his right leg. The refinement efficiency was indeed much faster than in the fourth level, but the pain was inhuman. The most important issue was Yang Chen wasn't sure if Jen Wuk's bones, which had not started the refinement process, could withstand it. His own bones were able to barely withstand it, but Jen Wuk's, it was hard to say. After completing the refinement of his four limbs, Yang Chen abruptly stood up. A strange feeling emerged. There was a mysterious connection between his four limbs, as if they were one whole. If one limb were severed, the other three would be able to regenerate the missing one using this mysterious force. It was a wondrous, marvelous feeling. What's going on? When his hand bones had finished refining, he had a slight feeling, but it was nothing like this. Old Rong explained to the confused Yang Chen. Master, this is the Nirvana divine power. The power of those who have completed the refinement of their entire body is known as Nirvana divine power. Old Rong changed his tone. However, Nirvana divine power is only known as inexhaustible. If you keep getting injured or use it constantly in battle, it will eventually run out and decay. That's insane. Even so, Yang Chen thought the Nirvana divine power was incredibly powerful. Indeed, almost all cultivators of the divine path, after reaching the spiritual realm, first action is to refine their bones. Only after refining the entire Bodhis bones can you truly be called a divine path cultivator. The power was too tempting. Compared to that, the pain meant nothing. Yang Chen looked at Jen Wuk, then turned around. Little K, you should cultivate in the spiritual pool. The spiritual leaves are good. Absorb them all. I will refine my bones first and then help you. All right. Jen Wuk breathed a sigh of relief. He had been worried sick watching his bro suffer. Yang Chen went to a corner of the training room, far away from the spiritual pool. He was afraid he would disturb Jen Wuk's cultivation. He knew that refining the torso would be difficult, and there would be inevitable suffering. The torso could be divided into three main parts: the chest, the spine, and the pelvis. The chest had bones, and the spine had. There was no doubt that refining these two areas into divine bones would be extremely difficult. The pelvis had only 4 bones, and while they were large, they were relatively easy to refine. First, he would refine the pelvis. Yang Chen composed himself and began the refinement. Surprisingly, the refinement of the pelvis was much easier than the legs. He completed the refinement of the pelvis in just 5 days. He had finished of the torso, but Yang Chen knew that it was just the beginning. The most difficult part was refining the chest and the spine. Both the chest and the spine were connected to the most meridians and the protective layer of the internal organs. If he damaged any meridians or organs, it would be a serious problem. He began with the spine. The spine had bones: cervical vertebrae, thoracic vertebrae, and lumbar vertebrae. Start with the cervical vertebrae. It was as if Old Rong knew what Yang Chen was thinking. Just as Yang Chen was about to use the southern origin flame aura fused with his holy word mantra to refine his cervical vertebrae, Old Rong stopped him. Master, you should start with the lumbar vertebrae first. Why? Yang Chen was confused. Old Rome quickly explained, Master, the cervical vertebrae are connected to the head. Something is bound to go wrong. If you damage the meridians connected to the brain, it will be a huge problem. You should first refine the lumbar vertebrae to strengthen your control over the fused energy. Indeed, it had only been 6 days since Yang Chen began using the southern origin flame aura to refine his divine bones. His control over it had not reached perfection yet. However, what Yang Chen did not expect was that refining the lumbar vertebrae was much more painful than he had imagined. It was almost unbearable. Unable to endure it, he had to stop. It felt like his bones were being crushed into paste. No human could withstand it. After resting for a while, Yang Chen was a little better. He couldn't continue. He needed to change his approach. How can I change it? If the holy word mantra doesn't work, they'll try something else. After calming his mind, Yang Chen focused all of his mental energy into his inner world. He directed a trace of southern origin flame aura from his black hole seed and combined it with his deathly illumination mantra. The fusion was smooth. But when he separated a bit of the deathly illumination mantra infused with the southern origin flame aura and sent it to the lumbar vertebrae to begin refinement, it was a disaster. Just the touch of the lumbar vertebrae was enough to almost knock Yang Chen unconscious. He quickly withdrew the deathly illumination mantra. The deathly illumination mantra doesn't work, Yang Chen thought. He'll try the earthly demon mantra. When the aura of the southern origin fire touched a woman, D-Emotion Yuan went straight for her waist, yet Yang Chen surprisingly felt no pain. It was amazing. If he'd known, he wouldn't have suffered so much during his previous body refinement. Yang Chen, suppressing his excitement, extracted more D-Emotion Yuan and started refining his lumbar vertebrae. The slight pain was easily bearable, greatly increasing his refinement speed. In less than a day, Yang Chen completed the refinement of all 5 lumbar vertebrae. It was a miracle. However, Yang Chen didn't stop. He continued to fuse the aura of the southern origin fire with D-Emotion Yuan to refine his thoracic vertebrae. He was careful in refining his 5 thoracic vertebrae, but it still only took 5 days. Next were the 7 cervical vertebrae. If he could successfully refine them, the bones in his spine would be complete. Yang Chen was even more cautious when refining the cervical vertebrae. Perhaps due to the pure nature of D-Emotion Yuan, the refinement went smoothly. Whoosh! 5 days passed, and Yang Chen suddenly stood up. A muffled sound echoed in his soul, and an immense aura burst forth. At the same time, all of Yang Chen's bones, except for his skull, had completed refinement. His bones were now connected as one, creating a powerful, endless cycle. Jen Wuk flew over, shocked. Bro, how far along is your bone refinement? Ha ha ha. Yang Chen laughed. Apart from my skull, all the bones in my body have been refined into god bones. Jen Wuk was stunned. How is this possible? It hasn't been that long. How could you be so fast? On a whim, Yang Chen said, Xiaokei, sit down. Relax your mind. It'll help you refine your bones. All right. Jen Wuk sat down eagerly. Yang Chen manipulated the aura of the southern origin fire, blending it with D-Emotion Yuan, and releasing it through his black hole soul. Then, he carefully guided the merged energy, slowly touching Jen Wuk's left arm, helping him refine it. When that energy touched his left arm, Jen Wuk's expression changed. He grunted. Enduring the pain, Jen Wuk felt that the refinement of his left arm was progressing rapidly. In less than half an hour, it was done. Bro, this is amazing. Jen Wuk was overjoyed. His enhanced left arm was unbelievable. The miracle continued. With Yang Chen's help, Jen Wuk also refined his entire skeletal structure. Except for the skull, all his bones had become god bones. The skull was different. Yang Chen hadn't even started refining his own yet. Even if he did, he couldn't help Jen Wuk. The skull was connected to the mysterious brain. Any disturbance could cause serious damage. Jen Wuk had to do it himself. After resting for 3 days, Yang Chen focused on his skull, which was divided into 3 parts: the occipital bone, the 6 ear ossicles, and the bones of the face. The first 2 were relatively simple. The facial bones, however, were hard. After calming his mind, Yang Chen carefully guided a strand of D-Emotion Yuan fused with the southern origin fire to his occipital bone. The moment the energy touched him, Yang Chen's entire body was shocked. After withdrawing the strand of D-Emotion Yuan, Yang Chen found that he couldn't speak. He had lost his voice. What the heck? It's just the occipital bone, and there's a problem already. Is refining the skull really that difficult? Yang Chen immediately contacted Elder Rong. Elder, I haven't even started refining, and I've lost my voice. What's going on? Elder Rong was also surprised. The occipital bone is unique. It is possible to lose your voice during refinement, but you haven't even started yet. You only touched it. The refinement energy is the problem. You can't use true qi. Yang Chen was disappointed. This meant that his skull would not be refined for a long time. Was the southern origin fire unsuitable for the skull? But using other resources would cost him too many credits. For a moment, Yang Chen was stumped. His private true qi, saintly true qi, and deathly true qi were all unsuitable. He couldn't use any of them. His own true qi was too harsh and unsuitable for refining the skull. Nearby, Jen Wuk was cultivating, trying to improve his cultivation. It seemed that refining the entire body into god bones was impossible. Yang Chen started to cultivate, aiming for the fifth spirit realm. Perhaps it would be easier to refine god bones once he was in the fifth spirit realm. As if sensing Yang Chen's thoughts, Elder Rong said, Master, the higher your cultivation, the easier it is to refine your god bones, and the higher the chance of successfully refining your entire skeleton into god bones. Yang Chen didn't know that there was such a thing. But the key issue was that his skull was difficult to refine. After much contemplation, Yang Chen still had no good solution. Suddenly, Yang Chen, feeling impatient, had a dangerous idea. He wanted to try using heavenly true qi. If he injured the occipital bone, he would just have to rest for a while. He didn't want to give up. Let's do it. Having made up his mind, Yang Chen immediately manipulated the aura of the southern origin fire and released it from his black hole soul. He merged it with his heavenly true qi in his dantian, and the power of the fusion was astonishing. But when he felt the merged aura of the southern origin fire and heavenly true qi, he hesitated. This heavenly true qi was too violent. If it touched the occipital bone, it would not refine it. It would turn it into ashes. Was it possible that heavenly true qi could refine god bones? Yang Chen had second thoughts, but he was unwilling to give up. After much hesitation, Yang Chen decided to try. He carefully separated a small strand of heavenly true qi, controlled it, and brought it near his occipital bone. Yang Chen then slowly pushed the strand forward. In a slight sound, the occipital bone trembled, and Yang Chen was stunned. He felt no pain. The bone didn't disappear or turn into ash. It was glowing with a faint purple light, but at the same time, he lost all sensation in his occipital bone. It was as if it had separated from his body and had nothing to do with him. Yang Chen panicked, but soon, under Yang Chen's watchful gaze, the bone changed. About a third of it turned to bright gold. Impossible. Yang Chen was stunned. A bone only turned gold after successful refinement. All of Yang Chen's bones, except for his skull, were god bones, golden god bones. In a flash, this small strand of heavenly true qi had refined a third of his occipital bone. Yang Chen quickly recovered his senses. He immediately used his heavenly true qi again and continued refining the occipital bone. Although he wasn't sure if this was truly refinement, he had completely lost all sensation in the bone. After a while, the occipital bone changed again. This time, 2/3 of the bone turned gold. After the third refinement, the entire bone shone with a golden light. However, Yang Chen wasn't happy at all, as he still couldn't feel the bone. It was as if the bone was a foreign object inside his body. Yang Chen's face darkened. He just waited. After being stunned for a long time, Yang Chen didn't even notice Jen Wuk approaching. Jen Wuk noticed that Yang Chen's expression was off. Bro, what's wrong? Is something wrong? Jen Wuk guessed that Yang Chen must have encountered a problem while refining his skull. Looking at Jen Wuk, Yang Chen mumbled, It's nothing. Let's go. Yang Chen suddenly stood up. Can you talk? Yang Chen jumped up and down and focused on the occipital bone. He could feel it again. It was familiar, yet also alien, and he had absolute control over it. Yes, it was his bone. But when had he regained control? Ha 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 ha. Yang Chen couldn't help but burst into laughter. Yang Chen's laughter stunned Jen Wuk. Just now, his face was so serious, and now, he was laughing like a madman. What was going on? Bro, what's wrong? Jen Wuk was terrified. I'm fine. I'm great. Just do what you need to do. Yang Chen laughed. If I had known this, I should have used heavenly true qi to fuse with the southern origin fire to refine my god bones from the start. But it's not too late now. Yang Chen ignored the dumbfounded Jen Wuk and started to fuse the aura of the southern origin fire with his heavenly true qi. He couldn't wait to continue his refinement, to refine the ear ossicles. There were 6 ear ossicles. 3 in the left ear and 3 in the right. They were the malleus, incus, and stapes. The ear ossicles were very small and even more sensitive and fragile than the occipital bone. If anything went wrong, it would be a disaster. Yang Chen was very careful. He used heavenly true qi to refine the malleus in his left ear. The moment the heavenly true qi touched the malleus, his left ear vibrated. But after the vibration, the booming sound disappeared. His entire left ear felt blocked. He could not sense anything, and his left side of his face felt numb. However, having experience with refining the occipital bone, Yang Chen didn't panic. He just kept staring at the malleus in his left ear. The malleus was glowing with a faint purple light, and it was changing. After a while, the malleus had turned completely gold. I've refined it. Only a small strand of heavenly true qi had refined the malleus. If word got out, it would shock many people. Soon, the incus and stapes in his left ear were also refined into gold. Yang Chen, feeling a little uneasy, patiently waited for his senses to return. This time, the wait was long, 3 days. After 3 days, Yang Chen finally felt the left side of his face and his left ear slowly recovering. Phew! Yang Chen let out a breath. His ear ossicles were successfully refined. All that was left were his facial bones. The facial bones were the most mysterious and complex part of the human body. The facial bones could be further divided into the skullcap and the face. There were 8 bones in the skullcap and 14 bones in the face, all directly connected to the brain. Yang Chen had to be cautious. After carefully consulting Elder Rome about the refinement of the facial bones, he began to act. Before refining, he had to learn a secret technique, the soul illumination. According to Elder Rome, the soul illumination was one of his most powerful secret techniques. Yang Chen's soul strength was not enough to learn it now, but, because Yang Chen's soul had fused with the southern origin fire, he might be able to try. All cultivators who want to refine their skull bones must protect their soul C. Protecting their soul C with only soul power, divine sense, and a fragile soul C wall was not enough. Therefore, cultivators who were preparing to refine their skulls would all learn a soul C protection secret technique. They would use the protection technique while refining their skulls. If they lost their soul C during the refining process, they would suffer serious injuries or even death. The soul illumination technique was extremely difficult. Even with the help of the martial emperor star, it still took Yang Chen 10 days to grasp the basics, but the basics were far from enough. He had to master the technique up to the small achievement level. In the blink of an eye, Yang Chen spent a month on it. However, with the power of the martial emperor star, he finally mastered the soul illumination up to the small achievement level. With the soul illumination, Yang Chen's soul C defense had reached an extremely high level. He could now start refining his skull. Even if a spirit cultivator attacked his soul with all their might, they wouldn't be able to break through the soul illumination's defenses for a while. It was that strong. With the soul illumination protecting his soul C, it was time to try refining the remaining skull bones. Yang Chen's first target was the ethmoid bone. The ethmoid bone was located in the center of the face, connecting to the bones of the eye sockets and nose. It was the gateway to the skull. Yang Chen carefully used the aura of the southern origin fire and heavenly true qi, and brought it close to the ethmoid bone. He touched it slowly, very slowly. The moment he touched the ethmoid bone, Yang Chen's mind boomed and his vision blurred. His entire face lost sensation, completely numb. He couldn't even feel any pain. However, Yang Chen wasn't focused on those things. He was focused on his soul C. He found that the soul illumination had only vibrated slightly before returning to normal. His soul C wasn't damaged at all. Phew! Yang Chen let out a breath and focused all his attention on the ethmoid bone. The ethmoid bone trembled slightly and was glowing with a mysterious purple light. After a while, Yang Chen was pleasantly surprised to find that the ethmoid bone was changing. About 1/10 of it turned a bright gold. Excited, Yang Chen calmed himself and continued to refine the ethmoid bone carefully. He was sure that the ethmoid bone would be refined successfully. In less than an hour, the entire ethmoid bone was refined in glowing gold. But he still couldn't feel it. Yang Chen didn't wait and started to refine the sphenoid bone. The sphenoid bone was small and simpler than the ethmoid bone. With less effort, it was transformed into a god bone. But the refinement of the entire skullcap wasn't so smooth. According to its size, the sphenoid bone was even smaller than the ethmoid bone. Yet, Yang Chen took 3 days to refine it completely. Yang Chen thought about it and concluded that the differences and mysteries between the bones were the cause. Next, he had to refine the temporal bones. Yang Chen hesitated. There were 2 temporal bones, one on each side of the head. They extended to the base of the skull and formed the sides of the skull and skull base, which were very irregular in shape. The temporal bones were connected to the core of the brain, and they were much larger. If anything went wrong during the refining process, it would be a disaster. He couldn't be afraid. After resting for a day, Yang Chen used the martial emperor star and entered a state of tranquility. He started to fuse the aura of the southern origin fire with his heavenly true qi. However, when he touched his left temporal bone, his entire body seemed to be paralyzed and unable to think. His entire left brain was numb. The most important thing was that his soul C was vibrating violently. Fortunately, the Luo soul light was strong enough to stabilize the sea of consciousness. Otherwise, things would have been complicated this time. So, with extreme caution, Yang Chen continued to refine the bones, starting with the left cheekbone. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 2 days, 3 days. It took him a full 3 days. Yang Chen, who had maintained a high level of concentration, was exhausted when his left cheekbone finally transformed into a divine bone. He collapsed to the ground and fell into a deep sleep. He slept for another 3 days. The feeling of mental fatigue was unbearable. Fortunately, after the 3 days of sleep, he finally recovered, and his mental awareness was fully restored. It could be said that the process of refining the left cheekbone was perfect. With that experience, Yang Chen found it much easier to refine the right cheekbone. Although it also took 3 days, he was only slightly tired when it was finished. In the skull, only the 2 parietal bones and 1 frontal bone remained. Although these 3 bones were the largest in the skull, they were the easiest to refine. Similarly, before refining the parietal bones, Yang Chen activated his 5 stars, entering a state of calm, and began the process. However, things weren't as easy as Yang Chen thought. The refining process for the parietal bones was incredibly slow, and after a whole day, he had only refined less than 1/10 of them. At this rate, it would take at least 10 days. Having to maintain high concentration for 10 days was a terrifying thought. But, being pushed to the edge, Yang Chen had no choice but to persevere. The old man, Rong, who hadn't dared to disturb Yang Chen, also felt strange. He had been watching Yang Chen's every move, and of course, he noticed the abnormality during the refining of the parietal bones. That's not right. The parietal bones are the easiest to refine. This progress is off. Too slow, way too slow. The knowledgeable old Rong made a guess. If his guess was correct, there must be something hidden within Yang Chen's parietal bones, otherwise it wouldn't take so long. Fortunately, although it took a long time, Yang Chen finally completed refining 1 parietal bone on the th day. With only 1 parietal bone left, and after resting for a day, Yang Chen hardened his resolve and began to refine the second. But, as soon as he started, he noticed something strange. This is not right, at all. Only half a day has passed, and the refining progress has reached 1/5. At this rate, it wouldn't even take 3 days to refine this parietal bone into a divine bone. In just over 2 days, this parietal bone had completed its transformation into a divine bone. But Yang Chen was very confused. Logically, the 2 parietal bones should be identical, so why was there such a difference? Unable to figure it out, Yang Chen asked for guidance from old Rong. Old Rong didn't hesitate to say, "Master, it's almost certain that your left parietal bone contains a hidden, mysterious power." Now Yang Chen was in trouble. Exploring the bone marrow was beyond his current ability. Perhaps he could only do so after advancing to the divine realm. So, Yang Chen kept this matter to himself and proceeded to refine the last bone of the skull, the frontal bone. The refining of the frontal bone was surprisingly easy, and he completed it in less than a day. With all the skull bones refined, all that remained were the bones of his face. The facial bones were very delicate. Even a small mistake could affect his appearance, making him look strange or ugly. Yang Chen wouldn't allow that. His good looks were a source of pride. Therefore, Yang Chen focused his mind and began refining his facial bones with utmost caution. 2 cheekbones, 2 maxilla bones, 1 mandible bone, 2 nasal bones. These delicate facial bones were all successfully transformed into divine bones. In less than 5 days, all 14 facial bones were complete. Whoosh! The moment the last bone in his body, the hyoid bone, was successfully refined, Yang Chen shone brightly. A gentle golden light radiated from his body, forming a half-meter diameter halo. This was the divine aura. Old Rong was beside himself with excitement. It's the divine light. He had been nervous during Yang Chen's refining process. Only now did old Rong finally breathe a sigh of relief. He succeeded. Yang Chen's completion of refining his entire Bodhis divine bones at the peak of the Martial King realm was rare not only in the heavenly book world but also in the vast cosmos. While geniuses were never in short supply, the birth of a divine body was still rare, but not unheard of. Those geniuses would usually only complete the divine transformation at the peak of the Martial Emperor realm. To have a divine body at the Martial Sect level was even more unheard of. Let alone at the Martial King level. Yang Chen, who was cultivating, was disturbed by the phenomenon happening with Yang Chen. Looking at his brother's body emitting a holy golden aura, Jen Wuk exclaimed, "Brother has succeeded. He has refined his skull." Only after refining the entire body into divine bone could one form the immortal divine light, also known as the immortal golden light. From now on, even if Yang Chen was severely injured, as long as he had sufficient immortal divine light, he could recover quickly. Slowly, the immortal divine light faded and entered Yang Chen's body, hidden within his divine bones. With a look of elation, Yang Chen clenched his fist and punched the air, causing a sonic boom. He had never felt so powerful. Now, even if he encountered the demonic warriors, he would have the confidence to fight them. He could punch through a door made of iron and stone. In his excitement, Yang Chen began to impart his skull refining experience to Jen Wuk. During Yang Chen's skull refining, thanks to the aid of highly concentrated spiritual liquid, Jen Wuk's cultivation had advanced to the 5th level of the martial sect realm. After a brief calculation, Yang Chen felt that he needed to hurry and advance to the martial king realm. He then told Jen Wuk, "Little K, go find the gatekeeper and ask if Li Qingling and the others have returned." They couldn't miss the Eastern Yang Palace's recruitment. That's right, Yang Chen had collected a lot of treasures that could help him at this crucial moment. But soon, Jen Wuk returned. He had found the gatekeeper who said she was still refining her divine bones in Yancheng Hall. He had no idea where she got that kind of training. The gatekeeper also said that his mother, Li Qingling, and the others had not returned. Those who had gone to Chongqing Prefecture for training, including Qian Lingxi, also hadn't returned. They shouldn't have missed the Eastern Yang Palace recruitment. But to Yang Chen's surprise, Li Qingling's training group had already left Eastern Continent. She had gone to Kai Prefecture, where Li Qingling's father, Yu Jiuhan, had left many years ago. He had made a name for himself there, and he had even joined the Kai Prefecture Palace and become an island master. Because of the pressure from the dual-realm battlefields, the Kai Prefecture Palace had taken action. But instead of expanding recruitment like the Eastern Yang Palace, they instructed the palace instructors to recommend young talents, and all those recommended would be the responsibility of their instructors. This included their cultivation and their future performance on the dual-realm battlefields. Yu Jiuhan, who was in Kai Prefecture, immediately thought of his daughter. So he sent a message to Li Qingling in Donglan Prefecture, asking her to come to Kai Prefecture Palace with some chosen talents. So, Li Qingling and the 4 trainees agreed and went to Kai Prefecture Palace. Now Yang Chen roughly understood the situation of the Eastern Yang Palace. It wouldn't be a problem for him to enter the Eastern Yang Palace through the heavenly battlefield, but it would be a problem for Qian Lingxi, Xiao Er, and Qiu Linger. Especially Qiu Linger, who had almost no chance of entering the Eastern Yang Palace. So they had all decided to stick together. Even the gatekeeper didn't know about it. She thought her mother had just returned to her family in Chongqing Prefecture. Only the family's patriarch knew, but he was keeping it a secret for the moment. The 5th level of the martial sect realm was nothing to Yang Chen. His spiritual power had already surpassed the limit. After reaching the 5th level of the martial sect realm, his dantian expanded again, and his sea of consciousness became even more stable. But Yang Chen didn't stop. Instead, he continued to use the black hole spirit to absorb the spiritual liquid in the spirit pool. The spiritual liquid in the pool decreased at a visible rate. Jen Wuk was shocked. Brother's swallowing ability is getting stronger and stronger. If those students who spent credits to cultivate in the lower levels of the spirit pool saw this, who knows what they would think. They might even try to kill Yang Chen. Soon, it was the end of the year and the inner court exam was approaching. Yang Chen and Jen Wuk were still in seclusion and missed the opening of the Donglin Academy. In a blink of an eye, Yang Chen and Jen Wuk had been in the Donglin Academy for a year. In the past year, both brothers had made incredible progress. The most significant progress wasn't in cultivation but in their spirit. On this day, Jen Wuk, who had reached the peak of the 9th level of the martial sect realm, couldn't hold back anymore. After finding out that Yang Chen had awakened, he rushed over. "Bro, we've been in seclusion for quite a while. Let's go see our senior brothers." Heh. Yang Chen smiled. "You miss Qiu Linger, don't you?" When they came out of the spirit pool, Yang Chen almost felt like he had come to the wrong place. What was going on? Why were there so many people? Thousands of young cultivators gathered at the entrance of the spirit pool, all diligently training. Yang Chen even saw kids whose cultivation was only at the 1st level of the Dantian realm. These must be new students. There are too many of them. Yang Chen was only briefly surprised. He and Jen Wuk left, realizing that the academy had expanded its recruitment. After asking around, they found out that Li Qingling was not on the mountain. She and her sister should be in the city. At this moment, the gatekeeper and her sister, who had just returned to the gatekeeper's mansion, were summoned to the secret chamber by the family's patriarch. Has something happened to the patriarch? Seeing the patriarch's serious expression, the gatekeeper's heart sank. Her sister was also in a panic. She suddenly thought of something and almost burst into tears. "Patriarch, where's my mother? Where's my mother?" "Oh no," the gatekeeper thought, "has something happened to Mom?" The patriarch sighed. "Your mother has left Eastern Continent." "Left Eastern Continent?" the gatekeeper exclaimed. "Did something happen to Dad? Did my mother go find him?" The patriarch shook his head. "Don't worry, your mother is fine. She just joined the Kai Prefecture Palace. She probably won't be able to see you for a while." The Kai Prefecture Palace. The gatekeeper and her sister looked at each other, confused. How could their mother go to Kai Prefecture and join the Kai Prefecture Palace? Because your grandfather is in the Kai Prefecture Palace. With the patriarch's explanation, the gatekeeper and her sister slowly calmed down. Oh no. My mom went to the Kai Prefecture Palace and took Chen Lingxi and Xiao Linger with her. If Yang Chen and Jen Wuk know, they'll want to fight me. Patriarch, why did my mom take Yang Chen's senior brother and friends to Kai Prefecture? The gatekeeper asked anxiously. Heh, the patriarch smiled. It's a good thing they went to Kai Prefecture. They joined the Kai Prefecture Palace. If they had stayed here, there was no guarantee they could pass the Eastern Yang Palace recruitment. What is that? The gatekeeper was still unsure. Would Yang Chen turn against him if he knew about this? I'll go explain it. With that, the patriarch disappeared from the secret chamber. The next moment, the patriarch appeared in front of Yang Chen and Jen Wuk, who had just entered the gatekeeper's mansion. Old man, Yang Chen said, surprised. He had sensed the spatial fluctuation. The patriarch of the gatekeeper's family had come in person. Yang Chen, you've come to see the gatekeeper. The palace recruitment is coming soon, aren't you going to train? No, Yang Chen shook his head. I'm here to see Li Qingling. I don't know if she's returned. Returned. The patriarch said confidently. She won't be back for a long time. What? Yang Chen was shocked. Old man, are you kidding me? If she won't be back for a long time, what about Chen Lingxi, Xiao and Xiao Linger? The patriarch understood Yang Chen's concern and smiled. Don't worry, your senior brothers are fine. Let's go to the main hall to talk. Soon after, they arrived at the main hall. The patriarch sat on the main seat, his expression serious. Yang Chen, this palace recruitment is very important. I received reliable information that the palace is undergoing reforms and plans to use its years of savings to cultivate our human race's future elite talents. With your 5 souls, you will have great potential if you enter the palace. The palace's resources are beyond your imagination. There will be opportunities you can't even comprehend. After a pause, the patriarch continued, as for your senior brothers, they also have great talents and a good chance of entering the Eastern Yang Palace. But it's only a high chance. Just now, the gatekeeper's mother received a message from your grandfather, who's in Kai Prefecture. He recommended Li Qingling to directly join the Kai Prefecture Palace, and he had a few more spots. So, he took your senior brothers to Kai Prefecture, to directly join the Kai Prefecture Palace. Hearing this, Yang Chen understood, but felt a little complicated. It was a great opportunity for his senior brothers to join the Kai Prefecture Palace. Yang Chen knew that if they had participated in the Eastern Yang Palace recruitment, his senior brother and Chen Lingxi would have definitely been able to join. But it would have been questionable for Xiao and Xiao Linger would have had no chance. Now that all 4 of them had joined the Kai Prefecture Palace, it was undoubtedly good fortune. But having just gathered together, they were now separated. Yang Chen felt a little disappointed. Thank you, old man, Yang Chen said, feeling lost. This was a spot in the Kai Prefecture Palace. Any cultivator would be tempted by this. The younger generation of the gatekeeper's family, besides the gatekeeper and her sister, although not many, could still make up 3 to 5 people. This was a huge favor. Jen Wuk didn't think so much. He just felt disappointed. After bidding farewell to the patriarch, Yang Chen and Jen Wuk left the gatekeeper's mansion. Jen Wuk immediately complained, Bro, when will we see Linger again? Heh, Yang Chen smiled, gazing at the sky. It definitely won't be anytime soon. There's one condition to see them, and that is that we must join the Eastern Yang Palace. I believe we will find a way to see them after joining the palace. Hearing this, Jen Wuk immediately felt motivated. Bro, the palace recruitment is coming soon. Let's go to the training grounds. I want to reach the Martial King realm before the recruitment. Indeed, with his cultivation at the peak of the 9th level of the Martial Sect realm, Jen Wuk was just one step away from breaking through. As long as there was enough spiritual energy, he would become a Martial King in no time. Okay, Yang Chen agreed. He also wanted to improve his cultivation as much as possible. As they entered the mountain gate, Yang Chen heard a provocative voice. Yang Chen, come to the Spirit Pagoda. The voice sounded familiar. After a brief recollection, Yang Chen realized it was Princess Yun. Why was the princess looking for him at this time? Filled with questions, Yang Chen and Jen Wuk headed deep into the mountains. If it hadn't been for the map information on his identity plate, he wouldn't have known where the Spirit Pagoda was. According to the map, the Spirit Pagoda was not a well-known training ground. It was just an ancient pagoda deep in the mountains. No one knew of its secrets. After more than an hour, Yang Chen and Jen Wuk finally found the Spirit Pagoda. Rather than a pagoda, it looked more like a simple stone building with only 2 floors, and the building was unremarkable, without any energy fluctuations. It seemed like just an ordinary old stone structure. With a creaking sound, the doors opened, and dust fell. Come in, guards. A deep voice echoed from within the cave. Yang Chen and Jen Wuk entered the cave. The cave was not spacious, with various items scattered around. An old woman with white hair was sitting on a broken stone chair. It was the princess of the dueling martial palace, Ying Qing. She glanced at Yang Chen, then said without looking up, "Sit there." Yang Chen was puzzled. What did the princess mean? Why did she want him to sit on the stone chair? Could there be some hidden mechanism? Yang Chen approached the chair and carefully examined it, but he couldn't sense any energy. It seemed like just an ordinary stone chair. What? As soon as Yang Chen sat down, he felt a mysterious force emanating from the chair. It immediately locked him in place, making it impossible for him to move. Yang Chen thought, crap, I've been ambushed. But then he realized, if the princess wanted to harm him, why would she go through so much trouble? Seeing that Yang Chen was unharmed, Ying Qing let out a sigh of relief. Yang Chen, she said, do you know what this is? Do you know why I asked you to sit on it? Yang Chen shook his head. How would he know? What was this old hag up to? Suddenly, Rong Lao's shocked voice echoed in Yang Chen's mind. Master, this is a treasure, an extremely powerful and special treasure. What? Yang Chen was stunned. He was sitting on a treasure. The dueling martial palace had a treasure. Master, Rong Lao continued, this treasure should be a suppression-type treasure. Yang Chen trusted Rong Lao's judgment, but he was shocked. Suppression-type treasures were usually acquired later. Was this? Without a doubt, this chair's true form was a congenital treasure. Seeing Yang Chen's confused expression, Ying Qing said, Yang Chen, this chair you're sitting on is called the Shi Ren Gu, or human suppressing seat. Each of the martial palaces in our 9 provinces has one. It's the sacred treasure of our palace. Its sole purpose is to suppress those who harbor malicious intent towards the human race. Yang Chen was shocked. Was he being suppressed? He was a righteous human, how could he be harboring malicious intent towards the human race? After learning about the world and the human race from Rong Lao, he was determined to fight for the human race. The princess' next words finally put Yang Chen at ease. Yang Chen, you are qualified to sit on the Shi Ren Gu in our Eastern Forest Martial Palace. Luckily, you have passed the test. You are a true chosen one of our human race. I hope that in the future, you will contribute to our race. I have been watching you since you entered the Martial Palace. There is a mysterious power in your body, likely the power of your bloodline. The reason I didn't meet you sooner was to observe you further, but the plans can't keep up with the changes. The Tao Palace is about to expand, which forces me to test you early. Fortunately, the result is good. After a few words, Ying Qing sighed with complex emotions. Yang Chen, do you know our human race's situation? You will find out soon after entering the Tao Palace. How many of our great geniuses have fallen in the blood and fire? It is because of their sacrifices that we have peace in the 9 provinces. After speaking, Ying Qing realized that Yang Chen was not paying attention. She nodded, I knew it. You already knew. Then I won't waste time. Yang Chen guessed that the princess probably had some special things to tell him. Otherwise, she wouldn't be so serious. As expected, 2 black fruits appeared in the prince's hands. Yang Chen, Jen Wuk, she said. These are the mystical soul fruits. They can greatly improve your soul power. They are extremely precious. They are the most precious treasures of our martial palace. There are only 2. Mystical soul fruit. Outer realm. Yang Chen immediately thought of the western 9 rings. Were those areas called the outer realm? The mystical soul fruit emitted a strong mysterious energy, and Yang Chen felt an overwhelming urge to swallow them. Looking at the 2 with the mystical soul fruit in their hands, Ying Qing smiled. Yang Chen, after refining this fruit, your soul power should be able to break through and reach the middle stage of the God Spirit realm. As for Jen Wuk, his soul power should also reach the peak of the golden realm after refining the fruit, and has a high chance of entering the God Spirit realm. Really? Yang Chen and Jen Wuk exclaimed. Was it possible? Yang Chen, whose soul power was already close to the peak of the golden realm, knew very well that even with advanced soul power treasures, the improvement was extremely slow. As for breaking through to the God Spirit realm, he had never even imagined it. At least, he thought, it would take a very long time. It was nearly impossible for his soul power to break through to the God Spirit realm. And now, a black fruit could directly boost his soul power. Even skip the initial stage of the God Spirit realm and go directly to the middle stage. Was it possible? If Ying Qing wasn't there, Yang Chen would have refined it immediately. Jen Wuk was also shocked. If what the princess said was true, then the mystical soul fruit was a divine treasure, a soul power divine treasure. In Yang Chen and Jen Wuk's previous knowledge, they had never seen a soul power treasure like this. So, the outer realm does have treasures, Yang Chen thought. After all, it's a fragment of a larger world. Yang Chen did not know that even for Ying Qing, the mystical soul fruit was a treasure. Even she could greatly improve her soul power by refining it. However, in order to have two powerful warriors for the future of the human race, Ching still took out her most precious fruit and claimed it was a treasure of the Martial Palace. In fact, the Eastern Forest Martial Palace did not have such a treasure. These two mystical soul fruits were obtained by Ching with her life on the line in the outer realm. Watching Yang Chen and Jen Wuk put away the mystical soul fruits, Ching said with some sadness, "After you reach the Tao Palace, say hello to Mentor Feng Woming for me. She is my teacher." Okay, Yang Chen nodded. But then, Yang Chen realized that he was in trouble. The Shi Ren Gu had locked him in place. How was he supposed to get down? Ha ha ha. Cheng, seeing Yang Chen's flustered expression, laughed. "Yang Chen, you just need to focus and say I am of the human race, and you can get down." "Oh, okay." Yang Chen quickly gathered his focus and said, "I am of the human race." As expected, the terrifying power that had locked him in place instantly vanished. He was free. Yang Chen jumped down and bowed deeply to Cheng. "Thank you, Your Highness." Cheng accepted the bow with a smile. Suddenly remembering something, Cheng looked at Jen Wuk. "Jen Wuk, try it, sit on the Shi Ren Gu." Without hesitation, Jen Wuk sat down on the Shi Ren Gu. Suddenly, the Shi Ren Gu vibrated slightly. "What?" Cheng's expression changed, and she stared intently at Jen Wuk on the Shi Ren Gu. But soon, the Shi Ren Gu calmed down, and Cheng realized that it was not emitting any energy to lock Jen Wuk in place. Suddenly, Cheng remembered something, and her face turned pale. She had thought of a legend. Trembling with excitement, Cheng stared at Jen Wuk and asked, Jen Wuk, how do you feel?" Jen Wuk, looking confused, replied, "Your Highness, it's strange. I feel like the Shi Ren Gu is very light." "That's right. That's definitely right." Cheng was even more excited. Cheng's actions shocked Yang Chen. He could tell that the princess was acting strangely. But what was the Ren Tu Zhan Jiang she had said earlier? Jen Wuk was also startled by Cheng's exaggerated reaction. He also didn't understand the Ren Tu Zhan Jiang. Yang Chen quickly asked, "Your Highness, what does Ren Tu Zhan Jiang mean?" After laughing for a while, Cheng looked at Jen Wuk and then at Yang Chen, and said, "The Shi Ren Gu is the sacred treasure of our human race. It contains the power of heaven and earth. Once it vibrates, there are only two possibilities. One is that it has sensed a human harboring malicious intent and will suppress them immediately. The other is that a Ren Tu Zhan Jiang has appeared in our human race. The vibration is because it is feeling encouraged." Seeing that Yang Chen and Jen Wuk were still confused, Cheng smiled. "Actually, Ren Tu Zhan Jiang is just a special title for our human race. It refers to a human who will fight for our race on the battlefields, avenge our grievances, and wash away the sea of blood." Yang Chen was curious. How could a mere stone chair be so magical? What gave it the authority to make such a judgment? Yang Chen was also confused. If Jen Wuk could fight for the human race in the future, why couldn't he? Why was he not favored by the Shi Ren Gu? Actually, Yang Chen did not know that the Shi Ren Gu could sense the aura of an even more powerful congenital treasure in him, and did not dare to move. Whether it was a congenital or acquired treasure, although they did not have a spirit, they had stronger spiritual awareness. Princess Ching had been heartbroken over giving away her two precious mystical soul fruits, but now, she didn't care at all. She had given them to a future Ren Tu Zhan Jiang. She believed that in the near future, as the Ren Tu Zhan Jiang's name spread through the human race, his fame would reach the outer realm. Her name, Ching, and the name of the Eastern Forest Martial Palace, would be remembered forever. After leaving the Lingu Tower, Yang Chen and Jen Wuk were still in a daze, especially Jen Wuk. The prince's attitude towards him was simply unbelievable. Jen Wuk found it a little unreal. After leaving Lingu Tower for a while, Jen Wuk whispered, "Bro, do you think the prince's words are true?" Yang Chen smiled, "Little K, you'll know if they're true. We have already seen the outer realm and the terrifying Western Nine Rings. Maybe the Western Nine Rings is the weakest area in the outer realm, but I have a feeling that in the future, our two brothers will conquer the outer realm." Jen Wuk nodded firmly. Back at their cave in the Lingyuan area, Yang Chen could not wait to take out the mystical soul fruit. Jen Wuk, however, forced himself to wait. He wanted to see if the old fellow would become as powerful as the princess had said after refining it. Holding the mystical soul fruit carefully, Yang Chen was surprised by its warmth. "Rong Lao, can you feel the powerful energy inside the mystical soul fruit? Can this small fruit really help my soul power break through to the God spirit realm, or even directly reach the middle stage?" Rong Lao seemed unfazed and said with a smile, "Master, although I haven't heard of the mystical soul fruit, I have seen many soul power treasures of this kind. These kinds of soul power treasures are nothing in the greater world." "Really?" Yang Chen became even more curious about the outer realm. After all, the outer realm connected to the heavenly book world was also a product of a major world. There must be many high-level cultivation resources. From the western 9 rings, it could be seen that even divine beings were common. After a while, Yang Chen calmed down and started refining the mystical soul fruit while performing hand seals. The refining process was easier than Yang Chen had expected. As a massive, terrifying energy entered his sea of consciousness, it started to vibrate slightly. Yang Chen did not dare to hesitate and immediately guided the powerful energy into the soul flame at the center of his sea of consciousness. Suddenly, the small red soul flame seemed to be ignited, like a fire being fueled with oil. It burned fiercely, and his soul power rapidly increased. Ha! After a while, Yang Chen heard a cracking sound coming from his soul, and a profound, refreshing sensation washed over him. Yang Chen felt like he was floating in the clouds, but unfortunately, this wonderful feeling was too short. Coming back to his senses, he realized that all the energy of the mystical soul fruit in his sea of consciousness had been absorbed by the soul flame, and the soul flame had grown considerably. Yang Chen was delighted to feel that although his soul power had not reached the middle stage of the God Spirit realm as the princess had said, not even the peak of the initial stage, he had managed to break through and enter the God Spirit realm. He was satisfied, definitely satisfied. After a while, Yang Chen excitedly exclaimed, "Little K, it's amazing. You should refine yours too. It's unbelievable. My breakthrough was so easy." Excited that his mission was completed, Jen Wuk also took out the mystical soul fruit and began refining it. Meanwhile, Yang Chen watched over Jen Wuk and entered his sea of consciousness to ask Ron Lao, those powerful beings from the void, with their background, power, and even the fragments of larger worlds, are they all trying to control our heavenly book world? Of course not, Ron Lao said softly. Those powerful beings who want to control the heavenly book world may have a sliver of benevolence. More of the powerful beings from the infinite void, however, are coming with the aim of destroying the heavenly book world. Yang Chen was even more puzzled. Is it just for the congenital treasure born in our heavenly book world? How is that possible? Ron Lao retorted. Every one of those powerful beings from the void has countless debts written in blood. The middle worlds they have destroyed are definitely not few. Although congenital treasures are extremely rare, they are still somewhat valuable to them. Their true goal is the origin spirit of the world, the origin of the heavenly book world's heavenly Tao. The origin spirit is the true master of a great world. They can control the power of a great world. Even the most powerful beings of the infinite void are vulnerable before it. Even the terrifying chaos mothers do not dare to get too close to a great world easily, precisely because of the great world's origin spirit. However, the heavenly book world's origin spirit is still growing. Once they obtain it, they may break through to a higher level and control greater powers. Yang Chen completely understood. In other words, the goal of these powerful beings from the infinite void was the heavenly book world's origin spirit, which meant that they were planning to destroy the heavenly book world. This was something that no native cultivator of the heavenly book world could tolerate. It was a life or death choice. They could only fight to the death. Master, it's still too early for you to worry about this now. Besides, those powerful beings from the infinite void have been fighting each other for many years. They are also enemies. Because there is only one origin spirit, this is the biggest reason why the heavenly book world has been able to survive until now. Ron Lao's analysis made Yang Chen feel a lot more relieved. It seemed that although the crisis of the heavenly book world always existed, it was still far from fatal. He had time to grow. Soon, Jen Wuk also woke up from his meditation, with an expression of excitement. Thanks to the miraculous effect of the mystical soul fruit, Jen Wuk's soul power had also successfully broken through and reached the initial stage of the God Spirit realm. Now, both brothers had broken through and reached the God Spirit realm. Who knew how many cultivators in the Golden Realm would envy them? With less than 2 months left until the Eastern Yangtao Palace's expansion recruitment, Yang Chen and Jen Wuk celebrated for a short time before immersing themselves in cultivation. Not only Yang Chen and Jen Wuk, but all students of the Martial Palace with a chance were also desperately trying to improve themselves in the remaining time, in the hopes that they could win a spot in the Eastern Yangtao Palace's expansion recruitment. Time flew by amid the tense atmosphere, and a month passed in the blink of an eye. Yang Chen and Jen Wuk, who had been cultivating in a cave, woke up. Jen Wuk had not only successfully advanced to the profound realm, but had also completely stabilized his cultivation, even spending a few days studying the Heart Sutra. Yang Chen, who was cultivating 4 elements, despite having a cheat-like training method like the Devourer ability, had only reached the 3rd level of the body-tempering realm. Yang Chen and Jen Wuk noticed that, like them, many students were leaving their caves and heading down the mountain. This time, aside from the instructors guarding the academy, most of the instructors and students were heading to the venue. However, everyone was still unaware of the venue's location and could only gather at the foot of the mountain. Descending the mountain, Yang Chen was shocked. The square was a sea of people. Not only were there students and instructors, but also many students' relatives. Clearly, everyone wanted to witness this grand event. Yang Chen and Jen Wuk barely managed to find the location of the sect and their elder. Unexpectedly, Elder One was also present. Yang Chen and Jen Wuk noticed that the sect elder was waving at them. Hey! Here, you two haven't been in seclusion the entire time, have you? I couldn't find you anywhere. After greeting Elder One, Yang Chen said, so many people. Are they all going? It was hard to imagine that so many people were just for the academy's competition. What about the other academies? If all of them are combined, wouldn't there be tens of thousands of cultivators? Elder One laughed. Of course they're all going. No one wants to miss such a grand event. Previously, the Heavenly Gate would only open once every 50 years. Only a small portion of our eastern cloud had the chance to participate. This time is different. Half a day later, a violent spatial fluctuation appeared in the sky above the mountain square. Almost simultaneously, 5 figures appeared in the deep sky. The leader was Donglin's third princess, Ying Qingfan. The other 4 elders, whom Yang Chen had never seen before, were probably high-ranking officials of the 5 academies. Silence. Ying Qingfan spoke, her voice resonating, looking down at the crowd. Without further ado, our Donglin is assigned to the ND test area. The venue is located at the Lubuan grasslands. Lubuan grasslands. The Lubuan grasslands aren't that simple. Many cultivators began to discuss. Yang Chen turned to the sect elder and asked, where are the Lubuan grasslands? Heh, the sect elder chuckled. It's relatively close. The Lubuan grasslands are located at the border between our Donglin and the Chongqing prefecture. The name is said to have originated from the ancient Lubuan War. Remember. As Ying Qingfan's voice echoed, the entire place fell silent. All the academy students and instructors, please proceed to the prefecture's teleportation array and teleport to Tong City. Well, gather outside the north gate of Tong City. As for the other cultivators who wish to attend, please decide for yourselves. After speaking, the 5 figures, led by Ying Qingfan, disappeared instantly. Let's go. Someone yelled, and all the cultivators in the square rushed toward the teleportation array, as if they would be left behind if they were late. Yang Chen, Jen Wuk, and the Wen siblings followed behind, unhurriedly. Clearly a little worried, the sect elder followed behind and reminded, you guys listen up. Once we arrive at the Lubuan grasslands, do not wander around before the competition. Do not leave my side. Yang Chen was puzzled. He could clearly see that the sect elder was a bit nervous. Was it really necessary? He, Jen Wuk, and the Wen siblings were not weak. Besides, everyone was participating in the competition, so who would be idle enough to cause trouble? Moreover, with the experts from the Dongyang Dao Palace present, anyone trying to cause trouble was just courting death. Seeing Yang Chen's nonchalant attitude, Elder One warned, Yang Chen, be careful. With such a large-scale event, the 7 Stars Sacred Hall will not miss it. They will definitely send people to cause trouble. 7 Stars Sacred Hall. Yang Chen was puzzled. He had never heard of this name. Was it a faction? Seeing Yang Chen's expression, Elder One knew that he was unfamiliar with the forces of the human race and began to explain. Yang Chen, within our human race, there are some traitors who seek to subvert the world. They have colluded with other races and harmed our young geniuses. Their goal is to break down the barriers between our Heavenly Book continent and the other races, creating a world where all races coexist. What? Yang Chen was stunned. There were traitors within the human race. Were they crazy? Cooperating with other races is like inviting wolves into the house. Traitors. They're traitors of the human race. Yang Chen was still confused. This time, the Dongyang Dao Palace had set up 12 test areas for the competition. Could the 7 Stars Sacred Hall send people to every test area? Do they have so many manpower? Or are there really that many traitors within the human race? Each test area not only has experts from the Dongyang Dao Palace, but also many powerful cultivators. If the 7 Stars Sacred Hall dares to show their faces, they would be courting death. Yang Chen had many doubts, but he still paid attention to Jen Wuk. Regardless, it's best to be cautious. If there are members of the 7 Stars Sacred Hall, they will be super strong. With many Dao Palace cultivators maintaining order, the teleportation array of the Donglin Prefecture was running smoothly. Despite the tens of thousands of cultivators being teleported, there were no issues. After waiting for a long time, Elder Wen led Yang Chen, Jen Wuk, Wen Kuang, and Wen Xiaojiu through the teleportation gate. After a few moments, Yang Chen and the others appeared at the noisy teleportation array in Tong City. As a small city of the Donglin Prefecture, Tong City's scale and the level of the cultivators were no match for the prefecture capital. Even the teleportation array was very basic. Suddenly, so many cultivators poured in, including many high-level cultivators. The few people in charge of the teleportation array were in a panic. Following the crowd, Elder Wen led Yang Chen and the others out of the teleportation array and headed straight for the North Gate. Outside the North Gate of Tong City, 3rd Princess Ng Qingfan and the 4 Vice Princesses were already waiting. Furthermore, Ng Qingfan's face was serious, and she was vigilantly monitoring the spatial fluctuations in a wide area. She had received information from the Dao Palace that members of the 7-star Sacred Hall were highly likely to sabotage the competition. After all, the instructors, students, and accompanying family members of the 5 academies had gathered outside the North Gate of Tong City, and no accidents had occurred. Ng Qingfan finally breathed a sigh of relief. Let's proceed to the Luguan grasslands. As Ng Qingfan gave the order, she and the 4 Vice Princesses flew to 5 different positions. They protected the multitude of cultivators as they began their journey to the Luguan grasslands. With the slow pace of the crowd, it would take at least a day and a half to reach the Luguan grasslands. However, there was plenty of time, as the competition would begin in 7 days. Unknowingly, the massive group had been marching in the wilderness for almost a day and was getting closer to the Luguan grasslands. Just as Yang Chen, Jen Wuk, Wen Kuang, and Wen Xiaojie were following Elder Wen up a small hill, their minds suddenly tensed up. Boom! A sudden explosion erupted. The spiritual energy surged, and a black mist rapidly emerged, enveloping Yang Chen, Jen Wuk, Wen Kuang, and Wen Xiaojie. The black mist was extremely strange, bypassing their defenses as if it were an invisible, ghostly energy, directly entering their bodies. This energy contained a powerful toxin that was beginning to affect their meridians. Chen Xiang's soul poison. Wen Kuang exclaimed, his face pale. Among the 10,000 cultivators present, perhaps no one was more familiar with Chen Xiang's soul poison than him. In an instant, the space around Wen Kuang fluctuated. Ng Qingfan used space manipulation to appear next to them.